During the New Year's family visits, my aunt brought over a box of expired milk for my younger brother to drink, but my brother is lactose intolerant. I snatched the milk away, only to be slapped to the ground by my grandmother. Milk is a rare treat, and here you are, you useless mute, trying to get your hands on it. All the good stuff belongs to our ancestors. Try to take it again, and I'll chop your hand off. I was beaten so badly my ear was bleeding. But my father couldn't be bothered to take me to the hospital. Later, when I was left deaf and mute, he sold me off to traffickers. The relentless torment became too much to bear, and I jumped from the 18th floor. When I opened my eyes again, my aunt was eagerly pushing a glass of milk into my grandmother's hands, dressed in a thick red cotton-padded jacket. Later, my younger brother fell gravely ill. My grandmother was imprisoned for assault, and our family was utterly destroyed. No one suspected me, they only felt sorry for me. After all, I'm just a poor, helpless mute girl. Azu is at that age where he's growing so fast. It's so kind of you to still think of him, this fine thing. An old woman like me has never even laid eyes on such a treasure. Granny, her face a map of wrinkles, beamed as she took the milk from our city-dwelling aunt. My aunt jerked her chin towards me and hissed under her breath. That cunning little mute, don't let her steal a sip. Granny whipped her head around, shooting me a venomous glare before spitting in my direction. Worthless burden from the day you were born. I huddled in the corner, clutching Jojo and trembling uncontrollably. The agony of shattering every bone from an 18-story fall is still etched into my very soul, yet the scene unfolding before my eyes made me realize I had been reborn. My aunt's voice was shrill and cutting. She was terrified I'd get anywhere near that milk. She made it seem like it was for my brother's sake, but really, she was afraid I'd noticed that the box of milk, covered in dust, had long since expired. The moment our aunt left, my brother tore open the box, grabbed a bottle, and started drinking. In my past life, fearing he'd get sick, I snatched the milk from his hands. He threw a huge tantrum, calling me shameless, a thief and a robber. I couldn't speak, so I could only flail my arms in desperation. His crying got me a vicious beating. Later, when I tried to escape from the traffickers, he even drew attention that got me caught. Now, my little brother is drinking milk, sticking out his tongue, making faces, and showing off to me. Not only would I not meddle, I could have strangled him on the spot. Smack. Grandma came out of the kitchen and slapped me on the head. Get out and chop wood, you useless girl. What are you staring at? Go on, get out of my sight. My mouth is watering just looking at it. If you dare steal any, I'll break your hand. Grandma quickly closed the milk carton and hid it in the inner room, terrified I might see it. As she passed by, she even kicked Jojo out of my arms. The kitten let out a few meows and darted away. Outside, a blizzard raged. I sat in the dilapidated shed. The axe my grandmother had tossed to me lying at my feet. The axe was old and worn, its blade even nicked and curled at the edge. My younger brother deliberately walked over to me, sipping his milk. To show off his brand new gloves, pointing at the chilblains on my hands, he burst into laughter. Pigs trotters, you stupid pig, don't deserve my milk. I raised the axe and slammed it down at his feet, clutching his milk. My little brother ran off in tears. Grandma, the mute is trying to kill me. The mute is trying to kill me. Grandma yelled at me, but she didn't hit me. She still needed me to chop the firewood. My little brother took another new bottle of milk from the crate and stuck his tongue out at me. He inserted the straw into the milk carton, too. In the dead of night, my little brother was vomiting and having diarrhea, crying and fussing nonstop. I got up from the worn-out bamboo mat and saw my grandmother pacing anxiously, wringing her hands. The blizzard outside was fierce, and there was absolutely no transportation heading to the county town. Oh, heavens above, my poor ancestor. What a wretched fate. Oh, my darling, please stop throwing up. It's breaking my heart. Grandma was wiping my little brother's mouth while clutching her chest and sobbing. I stood outside the room, watching with a cold detachment. The draft was everywhere, but even in my tattered long johns, I felt no cold. My heart felt warm and unburdened. Grandma came out quickly and kicked me into the room. She snarled, "Take good care of Azu. If that brazier goes out, you'll be sorry." Cursing under her breath, she plunged into the wind and snow. Next door lived the most famous spirit medium in all the surrounding villages. My brother's hut was draft-free, the fire roaring and giving off a comforting warmth. I huddled by the brazier, my half-frozen body slowly thawing. You damned mute, shameless, it was you who cursed me. My brother had stopped vomiting. Now, he was clutching his stomach, writhing on the bed, and hurling abuse at me. I suddenly stood up and closed the only door that provided any ventilation. I walked over to him, grasped the thick quilt, and looked down at my brother. In my past life, I cherished our blood ties and treated him with genuine sincerity, yet, it was he who personally pushed me into an abyss of utter ruin. He was only 7 years old, but he was already wicked to the core. The hatred in my heart made me want to smother him with a quilt. I pulled the quilt up tight. Watching my little brother's face turn bright red. You stupid mute. Cough, cough, cough. It's so hot. I'm burning up. I don't want this quilt. Get out of my house. My brother was like a pig being trussed up tighter and tighter, making its final, desperate struggle. Are you deaf? Summoning all his strength, my brother shoved me aside, then collapsed onto the bed and began retching up sour bile. I picked myself up off the floor, when suddenly I heard a sharp, piercing cat's cry from outside the door. Jojo, my heart skipped a beat. I pushed the door open and ran outside. In the courtyard, the shamaness was splattering chicken blood. This cat is an ill omen, she chanted. It brings calamity. It cannot stay. I shoved the shaman aside and snatched Jojo into my arms, only for my grandmother to strike my shoulder with a stick. You wretch, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill your brother? I fell to the ground, tears streaming from the pain. As the shaman grabbed the cat back from my hands, "Begone, all evil spirits," the shamaness muttered incantations as she dragged my cat toward the well. I scrambled to my feet, only for my grandmother to grab me by the collar. Smack, smack, 2 slaps landed on my face, the sting turning to a numb throb. I bit down hard on Grandma's hand, and she cried out in pain. Ungrateful wretch, you heartless creature, great-grandma is suffering in her bed. It's your cat that's brought this foulness here, I'm sure of it. I watched helplessly as Jojo fell into the well. After the cat's piercing shriek, there was no further sound. The evil spirit is vanquished. The shaman pressed her palms together, took Grandma's money, and turned to leave. Grandma kicked me to the ground, crying out my darling as she ran into the house. I lay in the freezing snow, clutching my stomach, unable to get up for a long time. Not long after, a piece of wood fell and struck me. Go and heat up 2 bottles of milk for Azu, quickly. Azu has suffered. He needs proper nourishment. You clueless fool. Gritting my teeth, I got up from the floor and went into the kitchen to boil some water. Drink up, have plenty. 3, Grandma placed 2 bottles of milk in the kettle to warm them, then scolded me. Get lost. None of this is for you. I watched as Grandma fed the milk to my younger brother, who had just quieted down. Gritting my teeth, I turned and walked into my drafty little room. In the dead of night, Pa came home drunk, making a hell of a racket. The next morning while chopping wood, Pa looked pale and his breath stank. He grabbed me by the ear. You mute. Go to town and get the barefoot doctor to prescribe some medicine for your brother. What good is that damned fraud of a spirit medium, you damn woman? Coming to my house to swindle me, you've got a death wish. Cursing under his breath, he shoved me out the door. From inside the house, my little brother's crying started up again. I took one last, long look at the dilapidated courtyard, then turned and headed into the wind and snow to find the village's barefoot doctor. It meant crossing half the mountain. By the time I reached the foot of the mountain, my shoes were worn through, exposing my frostbitten toes. The village was draped with red streamers everywhere, the festive air of the new year thick and palpable. The barefoot doctor's home was bustling with people, sacks of rice, flour, and oil piled in the corner, while I stood shivering outside the door. What's the problem? The barefoot doctor asked, his breath reeking of alcohol as he let out a belch. I hurriedly wrote it down on a piece of paper nearby: fever, crying, vomiting. The barefoot doctor took only one look before going to fetch the medicine. His speech was slurred with the smell of alcohol, and he could barely walk straight. You're running a fever, so be careful not to catch a chill. Don't drink any alcohol. This medicine contains cephalosporin. The sun had already set by the time I headed home with the medicine, tired and hungry. When Grandma saw me, she quickly snatched the medicine away. A few men came to the house, drinking boisterously in the room. Dad saw me and barked, "Where's the medicine? Let your old man have a drink first." Damn, that disease is contagious. I saw the empty milk carton at my father's feet. Must be lactose intolerant too. I hesitated for a moment, and then the slap came crashing down. What are you standing there for? Go get the medicine. No, useless girl, a money-losing burden. What's the point of school? You're just wasting my hard-earned money. We'll sell her off right after the new year, old wine. There's a simpleton at the edge of the village. His father's looking to find him a wife. No, it's fine. Her cousin has connections. She can get a lot of money. I covered my face, a chill running through my entire body. I knew this wasn't just drunken talk. Remembering the tragic end I met in my past life, I knew I couldn't just sit back and wait for death. To avoid repeating past mistakes, I had to take the initiative. Steeling myself, I took 2 packets from my brother's medicine. I watched his father wash the medicine down with wine. Look, even though the wretched girl can't speak, she's quite a pretty little thing. My father shoved me forward while pouring liquor down his throat. He patted my backside as if displaying merchandise. Good childbearing hips. The remaining men looked me up and down with nothing but ill intent in their eyes. I struggled desperately, but my father kicked me out the door, cursing and grumbling. You little brat. Keep squirming and I'll break your arm. I picked myself up from outside, fists clenched tight, and stared at the brightly lit room within. Drink up, drink up. He brought it on himself, for, that night, I had a dream. I dreamed that in my past life, I tried to run away, was caught, and then chained up in the courtyard. The marriage that was all arranged fell through. For days and nights, they gave me neither food nor water. Father was whipping me. But my cousin in the bright red coat stopped him, saying there were other, better places for me. From that day on, there wasn't a single patch of unmarked skin left on my body. I was jolted from sleep by the sound of my grandmother wailing at the top of her lungs. Father and my younger brother lay in bed. My brother was burning with fever and vomiting incessantly. Father's eyes were bloodshot, his whole face flushed crimson, and he could barely even walk. You damn mute. Go boil some water. Father picked up a liquor bottle from the floor and hurled it at me. I quickly turned and hurried into the kitchen. A chaotic racket came from inside the room. The medicine. Where's the medicine? Give me 2 more packets. I brought the water in and watched as father chewed up the medicine from the packet and swallowed it. He threw his head back and down the last 2 mouthfuls of liquor from the bottle. Before noon, father was already slumped in his chair, breathing heavily and unable to open his eyes. I stood outside the door, watching my grandmother's screams with cold indifference. A profound sense of satisfaction welled up from the depths of my heart. After a miserable death in my past life, they deserved to pay in blood in this one. Dad, and my brother, and grandma, and that cousin aunt. Grandma rushed out immediately, shrieking as she knelt in the very center of the courtyard and began kowtowing toward the south. This old woman has lived a life of compassion. Please protect my children and grandchildren. Keep my children and grandchildren safe. A life of compassion. I looked down at the scars on my body, new and old ones crisscrossed. Not a single patch of unblemished skin to be found. Being mute made life in that sun-preferring village especially hard. After my mother died, I was forced to drop out of school. I wasn't treated like a child of the family, more like a beast of burden. The old woman showed kindness only to her sons and grandsons. They don't even see me as a human being. Grandma remained kneeling in the courtyard, refusing to get up. I thought it over and worried she might go to the village to find the barefoot doctor, so I dropped the axe and went to fetch the shamaness next door. My grandma is superstitious. The fortune teller has no morals. Even a minor illness can turn serious if you ignore it, especially when you mix alcohol with antibiotics. So many cannons, so much wine. The moment I called for the spirit medium, my grandmother rushed forward as if she had seen her savior. Save my son. Please, save my son and grandson. My grandmother clung to the shaman's legs, kowtowing until her forehead was covered in blood. I stood right behind the shaman, my fists clenched tight. In my past life, I was just the same, kneeling at my grandmother's feet, kowtowing until my head split open and blood streamed down. But it still didn't soften grandma's heart. She just sighed and said, to be deaf and mute, it's all the will of heaven. The shaman helped grandma up and pulled 2 paper talismans from her pocket. She said that if the talismans were burned to ashes, mixed with a little water, and given to the 2 of them to drink, everything would be set right. Then, she took out the dog's blood and sprinkled it in a circle around the front door. The shamaness threw her head back, drank the strong liquor, and sprayed it onto father and my younger brother's faces, all the while chanting incantations under her breath. Grandmother took a large sum of money from her chest. She pressed it into the shamaness' hands with profuse gratitude. I stared fixedly at that money. So much money, more than they got for selling me in my last life. 5. I won't drink it. I refuse to drink it. My little brother was screaming and writhing on the bed, clutching his stomach, his face ashen. Grandma herself had scooped the ash, mixed it with talisman water, and filled 2 large bowls to the brim. The younger brother found the taste far too strange and absolutely refused to open his mouth to drink it. Grandma sat beside him, pleading earnestly and at length, yet she couldn't bring herself to scold or hit him. He just kept on wailing incessantly. Father picked up a bowl, pinched his nose, gulped it down in one go, and then spat out a thick glob of phlegm. You little rascal, drink up. Dad pulled out his belt to scare my younger brother, but Grandma pulled my brother into her arms and scolded, don't frighten our Azu. Oh, Azu, bless your heart, you've been through so much. Grandma was crying uncontrollably, and Dad threw down his belt to go catch up on sleep inside. Yazu was still throwing a tantrum, smashing everything within his reach. This tastes awful. I won't drink it. I won't. Patting her grandson's shoulder, Grandma soothed him gently. Our Azu is a brave little man. There's liquor in this medicine. Azu, don't you want to be like your father and drink? My younger brother froze. He stared at the bowl of dark, murky decoction, then turned his head away. I can't drink this. Grandma kicked me in the knee and shrieked, you useless, clueless brat. Go get 2 bottles of milk. Now. She glared at me with a look that could strip flesh from bone. then turned and beamed at my younger brother. Here you go, Azu, have some milk. After taking the medicine, I drank some milk. It was wonderfully sweet. It was so delicious. Rubbing my knees, I shuffled outside to boil some water and fetch the milk. I never would have guessed there was alcohol in that medicine. Even the heavens are on my side. My younger brother drank the bowl of herbal decoction and then finished off 2 bottles of milk. He soon quieted down. I felt his forehead. It was burning hot. The fever is raging, but Grandma shoved me to the ground. You wretched thing. Don't you go bringing any evil spirits near great-grandfather. The skin on my palm was scraped raw, oozing bright red blood. Grandma stoked the charcoal in the room until it burned brighter, then piled all the thick quilts on top of my younger brother. Then, she spat in my direction. Get out of here already. You're just in the way. You're the one who brought all this bad luck. I picked myself up off the floor, left without a word, and shut the door tight behind me. Standing outside the door, I could hear my father's labored groans coming from the other room. It sounded like his throat was clogged with thick phlegm, and he was struggling for air. I rummaged through the house, found the last bottle of liquor, and clutching it, walked toward my father. Crack! The ceramic ashtray hit my shoulder and clattered to the floor. My father, propped up in bed, struggled to sit up and pointed a finger in my face. You useless mute, get out of my way, you good for nothing. Who are you to laugh at me? His voice was hoarse, completely lacking the force it had when he'd cursed me out before. I tightened my grip on the bottle and walked toward him. 6, I gestured as I handed the bottle to father. The look of disgust on his face vanished in an instant, replaced by one of pure satisfaction. He gulped the liquor down in noisy, repulsive swallows. The liquor dribbled from the corners of his mouth, staining his beard and giving off a foul, cheap alcohol stench. Pa gave my backside a pat. Good lad, my boy, haven't spoiled you for nothing. I stood quietly by Pa's side, watching the flush spread across his face. If looks could kill, I'd have sliced him to ribbons 1,000 times over. You call this love? Every single scar crisscrossing my back bears his mark. In his good moods, I was his daughter. In his rages, I was worth less than the livestock. When the cattle or sheep fall ill, you still have to call a veterinarian. He beat me black and blue, then just left me lying in the yard, uncared for. To him, and to this family, I am worth less than a pig, cow, or sheep that could fetch a good price. Go get my medicine. Father pinched me, his tone full of command. Don't trust those shamans. A real doctor is the only reliable one. You can't go wrong with taking more medicine. As I turned to leave, I heard father muttering to himself, taking more medicine is definitely the right thing to do. Drinking more is also perfectly fine. Watching my father wash down 2 packets of medicine with hard liquor filled me with an indescribable sense of satisfaction. Father was probably feeling pretty satisfied too. He patted my hand, his eyes filled with regret. You're so well behaved and sensible. I'm actually a bit reluctant to sell you to someone else. I quickly pulled my hand away and turned to leave. A wolf doesn't truly pity a rabbit. All I have to do now is wait. My brother is burning with fever. My father is hanging by a thread. All I have to do is wait for them to die. For 3 days straight, Grandma brewed her medicine. I forced my younger brother and father to drink it all. Father was bedridden and couldn't move, and my brother would only take his medicine if he had milk to drink. In just a few days, only 2 bottles of the milk our aunt had brought were left. Yet my brother's condition showed no sign of improvement. In fact, it worsened. He was vomiting and had diarrhea, unable to keep any food down. Grandma was always crying, and after her tears, she would turn around and take her anger out on me, scolding me everywhere. I stopped gathering firewood to cook and no longer fed the chickens and ducks. Grandma had no time to beat me. Her heart and soul were completely devoted to my father and younger brother. We had to wait until the 3rd day, but then, with surprising agility, father emerged from the room. 7, his complexion had improved. He got out of bed and stood in the courtyard, as if brimming with energy. I was trembling all over, my face pale and ashen. How could this happen? So many cephalosporin pills, so much hard liquor, and there was filthy water streaked with lime. How did you recover so suddenly? A chill crept up from my feet to my shoulders, making every hair on my body stand on end. Father turned his head to look at me, his sharp, triangular eyes as piercing as a hawk's. I casually slipped my hands behind my back, gripping the machete with a deathly tightness. Go big or go home. At this point, there was no room for even a hint of hesitation. Even prison would be a far more comfortable fate than the living hell that awaited. Besides, I'm still a minor. I kept swallowing hard, forcing myself to calm down, but then, father suddenly spread his arms and stretched his body. Mute, fetch me a bottle of wine, he called to me in a hoarse voice, while he himself lay on a chair under the eaves, warming himself by the fire. I quietly set the axe down again and ran to fetch the wine. As I fetched the wine, I slipped a small knife into my tattered pocket. Father took the wine and drank it down in one gulp. I stood to the side, trembling, in my memory. Whenever my father got drunk, it was my nightmare. The more I cried, the harder he would hit me. Mute. After all, I've raised you for over a decade. I've grown attached. My father suddenly opened his eyes and spoke to me. I hunched my shoulders, timid and submissive. I can't bear to let you get married and leave either. Your aunt said she has a way to make money. A girl doesn't need schooling. You should go work for your aunt. We'll have the money for your brother's wedding. Once we buy him a place in the city, I'll finally be able to hold my head up high. Dad threw his head back, took a swig of liquor, and grinned from ear to ear. I clenched the small knife in my pocket, my eyes burning red with rage, my whole body trembling. This beautiful vision would cost me my entire life. I will never forget cowering in the basement, being beaten and humiliated. I was picked over like a piece of merchandise. If you didn't finish your work, you got no food. Not even a drop of water. While the scalpel pierced my flesh, these people were busy buying homes and settling down in the city. Folks back in the village would envy them, praising them for making something of themselves. Yet no one would ever know that my entire life was destroyed by their hands. The weak are bullied and crushed, while the perpetrators climb to new heights, stepping over my corpse. It's truly a case of humans being worse off than pigs and dogs. I hate this. Hearing my father describe this family's bright future, I felt a hatred more intense than any since my rebirth. I wish I could tear them all limb from limb. My father pushed himself up from the chair. I drew the knife from my pocket and hid it behind my back. My mind was clouded with thoughts of revenge. Bang. But at that moment, my father suddenly collapsed back into the chair, his face ashen and his breathing labored. Dumbass, go. Hurry. I watched him convulsing on the ground. Let go of my hand, and suddenly began to laugh. Even a mute can laugh. It was an ugly laugh, more like a piercing, mournful wail. So it was a final rally before the end. Father looked up at me, pointing a finger, his mouth opening and closing soundlessly. He clutched his own throat tightly, kicking over the chair in the process. He tried to grab my foot. For every inch he crawled forward, I retreated an inch. The man who once raised his club high against me was now nothing but a maggot writhing in its death throes. I stood right before him, watching as the convulsions slowly left his body. A profound sense of satisfaction washed over me. I looked up, gazing into the room. There were two other people. Just then, voices from outside grew louder, drawing nearer. My heart clenched tight. If he wasn't completely gone, someone might find him and he could still be saved. I scrambled and stumbled into the woods by the fence to peek. On the downhill path not far away, a woman in a white down jacket was walking this way. As she drew closer, I recognized her. Her name is Ruby, a university graduate serving as a village official. In my past life, when I was confined at home, she came to visit. She was there on behalf of the school teacher to persuade my father. She said that for a girl, education was the only way out of these remote mountains. Dad said I was too wild to stick with my studies, so I'd already gone off to work, but I hadn't. I was right there in the next room, tied to a chair behind the door, my mouth wrapped in layer upon layer of tape. I heard Ruby's sigh of regret. I struggled desperately, but could only watch helplessly as she walked out of my home. Ruby was getting closer and closer. She was carrying a can of oil, and it seemed her target was my house. Did she come at this time in my past life? I can't quite remember. But what do we do now? What if Ruby finds her father still lying on the floor? 8. I have never felt this calm before. Watching the sky grow dark, I suddenly tore the sleeve of my tattered shirt. I took off one shoe and threw it into the woods. Then I ran out as fast as I could. I bumped into Ruby. With a startled cry, the bottle of oil in her hand went tumbling into the adjacent field. I deliberately showed off the fresh scar on my calf while warming up milk for my little brother yesterday. The bowl was too hot, and I accidentally spilled a drop. Grandma nearly broke my leg. My calf and ankle were now swollen and bruised beyond recognition. Ruby and I locked eyes. I hastily wiped the tears from my eyes and scurried, timid and submissive, into the depths of the mountains. I glanced back over my shoulder as I ran. She was really chasing after me. Hey, wait up. There was urgency in Ruby's voice as she strode after me. Right, I was taking a gamble. A gamble on whether Ruby was truly a good person, and now, I've won that bet. I'm sorry, but I have to do this. Father must die. The mountains were pitch black. I had to run, but I also had to run slowly enough to stay within Ruby's line of sight. Little girl, the mountains are dangerous, she cried out. Before I knew it, the sun had completely set. The winter snow was bright and bitterly cold. I was still barefoot on one foot, and it had gone numb from the cold. Enough. There's no point in running any further. Grandma would be cooking at this time, so I'd see Dad as soon as I opened the door. My legs gave way, and I collapsed to the ground. Ruby caught up, panting and out of breath. She patted my shoulder and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm from the village committee. You have nothing to fear. If you have any difficulties, just tell me." I pointed to my mouth to show her I couldn't speak. 9. When Ruby was taking me home, the house was all lit up. The old woman's wailing was more grating than a pig at slaughter. The pity was, in these deep, remote woods, there were only two families. The shaman stood in the courtyard, shaking her head at the old woman. The old woman knelt on the ground, kowtowing to her repeatedly. Please, she begged, save my son. It must be an evil spirit causing this. If you can just wake my son, I'll give you all the money you want. I'll give you that mute girl in payment. She can cook, chop firewood, you can beat or scold her, it doesn't matter, I'm begging you. I just want my son back. I had just stepped into the yard, holding Ruby's hand, when I heard Grandma say it. So, father is dead. All the countless plans I had been turning over in my mind were now useless. Good. Ruby's grip on my hand tightened, and her gaze held a deeper sympathy. Auntie, I'm from the village committee. What's happened? Ruby let go of my hand and stepped forward to ask. Upon hearing village committee, the old woman's face lit up as if she had seen a savior. She threw herself at Ruby's feet, clutching her legs desperately, and wailed, Heaven has opened its eyes. Please, save my son. Please, let this old woman kowtow to you. Ruby hurried to help the old woman up. What's wrong with your son? The grandmother took Ruby by the hand and led her towards the house. The sorceress tried to be evasive and made ready to slip away. She knows full well her deceitful ways can't stand the light of day. I was following Ruby, but before we could even step inside, Grandma suddenly turned and shoved me hard. You wretched girl, you're bad luck. It's because of you that my own son is suffering. Get out. I tumbled heavily down the steps from the force of the push. Ruby's eyes widened, and she hurriedly helped me up. In that moment, I saw it. There was now a clear look of wariness and disgust in Ruby's eyes as she looked at Grandma. In these remote valleys, the preference for sons over daughters is all too common. My injuries and threadbare clothes told the whole story. What are you doing? Ruby's voice was stern as she shielded me behind her. The people have always feared authority. Granny's voice dropped to a near whisper. I was just worried and acted in the heat of the moment. In the end, Ruby went with her grandmother to see the body. Her face went deathly pale with fright, and she hurriedly called the other members of the village committee. In that moment, Grandma pinched my ear and dragged me aside. Go on, get the officials a cup of water. I gave a nervous nod, then immediately turned and hurried to my younger brother's room. 2 cartons of milk sat forlornly in a crate in the corner, gritting my teeth. I took a carton of milk before leaving. I looked at my brother lying quietly in bed, not crying or making a fuss. With trembling hands, I checked for his breath. Just as I feared, he was already gone. After days of high fever without medicine, this was the inevitable end. I couldn't stop the grin from spreading across my face. Those who have prospered by trampling on my flesh and blood must pay with their lives. Father and my younger brother are already dead. Only grandmother remains, and auntie, the one who started it all. Not a single one of them gets to escape. I pulled my hand back and ran to the front hall. Grandma was kneeling before Ruby, wailing and begging her to bring her son back to life. I shot a blank look at Grandma, biting the tip of my tongue to force the tears out. I held the milk out for Ruby. Grandma glared at me, her teeth clenched as if she wanted to tear my skin off. In her eyes, no one was allowed to touch Yazoo's things. Ruby waved her hands awkwardly, clearly flustered, fresh out of school. She'd likely never encountered a situation like this before. With quick reflexes, I stabbed the straw into the milk carton and practically shoved it into her hands. Ruby had no choice but to take it. She took one sip, frowned, and immediately spat it out. This milk is expired. 10. This milk is no good. Ruby set the milk aside and instructed her grandmother. How would Grandma understand what expired even meant? She remained kneeling on the floor, unwilling to get up. Looking up with tears streaming down her face, she cried out, Why can't I drink it? Why can't I drink it? As Ruby tried to help her grandmother up, she began to explain, It's expired. It's broken, spoiled. Grandma stopped wailing, an expression of utter disbelief spreading across her face. At the very least, she understood what broken meant. Her hands, which had been clutching Ruby, suddenly let go, and she began pounding the ground, cursing loudly, That damn bitch, that bitch. Darlene, Granny pounded her chest and stamped her feet, wailing, It's her, she couldn't bear a son, so she tried to poison my precious boy. Officials, somebody in charge, you must avenge me. Grandma knelt before Ruby again, kowtowing to the ground with a series of heavy thuds. I made a show of trying to help her up, but Grandma turned and slapped me across the face. I stumbled and fell, my head striking the edge of the table with a heavy thud. Are you okay? Ruby cried out. Helping me to my feet, blood trickled down my forehead, blurring my vision. I saw that a crowd had gathered at the village committee office. They gathered around the bodies of Grandma and Father. Ruby pulled a clean piece of paper from her pocket and pressed it against my wound. I looked at her, tears welling up and spilling from my eyes. It didn't really hurt that much. I just wanted to find a better path for myself. The village committee members came and took my father's body away. Ruby patted my shoulder, her voice full of concern. I'll come back to see you. When will that be? This village is far less friendly than it appears on the surface. Grandma wanted to follow, but she also wanted to stay home to look after my younger brother. I deliberately stood in the doorway and smiled at her. I laughed and pointed at my brother. Just as I'd hoped, I provoked Grandma. She snatched up an empty bottle from the floor and hurled it at me. You little bitch. How dare you curse your own brother? You deserve to die. You deserve it. It's all your fault. You being alive is what cost my son his life. You jinx. I ran for my life. Most folks in the countryside stay hale and hearty even in their old age. I was malnourished from not getting enough to eat every day. Some of the bottles smashed against my body. Others crashed to the ground with a deafening sound. The commotion, as expected, alerted the village committee members who hadn't gone far. Soon, that group of people came back with flashlights, clad in thin clothes and covered in blood. I slumped on the ground, a truly pitiful sight. I clung to the person's leg, kowtowing desperately. My grandmother, who had chased after me, was still cursing at me. You ungrateful wretch, you bite the hand that feeds you. In the chaos, I collapsed and lost consciousness. 11. When I came to, I was in a room at the county hospital. Ruby and a middle-aged man were sitting by the bed, watching me. You're awake. Ruby leaned in, and I flinched back, fear flashing in my eyes. Ruby patted my shoulder, her eyes reddening. Don't be afraid. No one here can hurt you. I overheard Ruby talking with that man in the hallway. They said I was pitiful. Yeah, I really am pitiful, sitting on the hospital bed. I watched the pigeons fly away outside the window and smiled. But it was nothing. I've already changed the worst possible fate. Ruby took me back to the village committee, where I'm staying for now. She asked if I wanted to go back to school, and I nodded my head so hard. Knowledge changes destiny. In this life, I want to carve out a completely different path. On the third day, I saw my grandmother. She knelt down at the entrance of the village committee, crying out for a just and righteous official. Your honors, my lords. Darlene has destroyed my sons and grandsons. May she die a wretched death. Our one family line ends with me. Not a single root remains. She wailed loudly. I just found out that my younger brother's body was discovered as well. The grandmother's head of white hair won her a great deal of sympathy. It's truly tragic for someone her age to lose both a son and a grandson. Our investigation has concluded that your son drank alcohol after taking cephalosporin and did not receive timely medical treatment. Your grandson has a high fever. It has nothing to do with Darlene. We've looked into it thoroughly. The new year is coming. Please take this cooking oil home with you. The crowd gathered around, all speaking at once as they tried to comfort the grandmother. Grandma suddenly shot to her feet, hurled the bucket of oil to the ground, and jabbed a finger at everyone. You're all just taking advantage of me because I'm old. You must have taken a bribe from Darlene. You're harboring a murderer. Grandma ran to the entrance of the village committee, threw herself on the ground, and started making a scene. She muttered under her breath, murderer Darlene, colluding with the village officials, picking on an old woman like me. It was the new year, and the village was crowded. Everyone gathered around. I thought for a moment, then gritted my teeth, rushed out, and knelt before Grandma, tears streaming down my face. Grandma, who had been rolling on the ground, suddenly sprang up and began slapping my face with both hands. You wretch, you ungrateful, two-faced snake. As soon as the official left, you served him milk. You've been trying to cozy up to outsiders all along, haven't you, you ungrateful mute? After all these years we've slaved away raising you. The onlookers rushed forward and pulled the old woman away. Ruby and the village committee members held me in their arms. Finally, no one had any sympathy left for that madwoman. 12. Grandma is gone, because nobody paid her any attention at all. Ruby and the village committee members used eggs to reduce the swelling on my face. Their eyes were filled with nothing but pity for me. I forced a smile in their direction and wrote neat characters on the blank sheet of paper on the desk. I want to go to school. I saw quite a few people wiping away their tears. I feel much more settled in my heart. The festive New Year atmosphere faded quickly, and those who had returned to their villages for the holiday began heading back to their workplaces. The people at the neighborhood committee have been very kind to me. They bought me some new clothes. They were practically falling over themselves to cook for me. I suppose I was just well-behaved and pitiful enough that everyone who met me took a liking to me. Soon after, I heard news about my grandmother again. My grandmother had killed someone. She was convinced that the expired milk was entirely to blame for the deaths of her son and grandson. No one was going to get justice for her, so she decided to take matters into her own hands. I overheard folks at the village entrance gossiping that Granny had stormed into our cousin's house, brandishing the family's machete. He swung the blade before my aunt could even react, caught red-handed, with a crowd of onlookers as witnesses. A wave of profound relief finally washed over me. I stood at the entrance of the neighborhood committee, gazing up at the sun in the sky. Everyone who has hurt me will pay. Ruby came back. Without a word, she pulled me into a hug. With great difficulty, she told me I had no family left in this world, but I never had any family to begin with. I sobbed loudly in her arms, yet there was not a trace of sorrow in my eyes. Their bond was truly profound, to think. grandmother was willing to avenge her children and grandchildren at any cost, and yet, here I am, I spend over a decade with them, day in and day out, yet I must face my end alone, in desolate resolve. It's just not fair, but now, it's all over. I went back to school and started living a normal life. When I turned 18, I went and changed my name. I chose Chloe. In spring, all things begin and all life flourishes. My brilliant life is just beginning. Story 2. After being bound by my roommate's verbal enchantment system, my roommate joked, "You're so beautiful. I'm so plain. Why don't you gift me your looks?" Flattered, I replied cheerfully, "All right then, you can have my beauty." She continued, "Your boyfriend's so handsome. I wish he were mine." I smiled faintly, "If you like it, take it." My roommate persisted, "Your family's so wealthy, it'd be perfect if I could become a rich heiress like you." Feeling odd but remaining polite, I nodded. "All right then, I'll give you my heiress status too." Little did I know, 3 months later every word I'd said came true. I became short and chubby, while my roommate turned stunningly beautiful. My boyfriend left me and ran into her arms. Eventually, my family went bankrupt. My parents died in a car crash, while she transformed into a wealthy socialite living in mansions and driving luxury cars. In despair, I sensed something was wrong and confronted her. She sneered, "Fool. You'd agree to anything. Ever heard of words becoming reality? What you promised me must come true." When I learned the truth, I flew into a murderous rage and tried to take her down with me, knife in hand, but she and her boyfriend overpowered me, locked me in the basement, and left me to starve to death. My rage was so intense it brought me back to life. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment my roommate asked for my beauty. This time, I can give away my boyfriend, my scars, even my weight, but my beauty and wealth, those are off limits. My roommate Cecilia's slightly suntanned face wore a simple, unpretentious smile. "Lynn, don't stand on ceremony with me. I'm from the countryside, been working since I could walk. You're clearly a pampered young lady. Leave all the heavy chores to me from now on." Without waiting for my response, she started making my bed. I stared at her retreating figure with seething resentment. Our past lives were just like this moment. Touched by her sincerity and unable to refuse such earnestness, I didn't want to disappoint her enthusiasm, so I agreed to let her make my bed. At the same time, I developed strong feelings for her, but right after she finished helping me, she hit me with 2 questions in a row. She said she wanted my beauty, my privileged heiress status, thinking Cecilia was joking. I casually offered her everything. Little did I know, every word I said to her would come true. From that day on, my tall, fair-skinned beauty began fading, growing heavier and darker with each passing day. Panicked, I rushed to the hospital but found no explanation for my condition. Meanwhile, Cecilia grew more radiant with each passing day. I even caught glimpses of my former self in her face. As my looks faded, my childhood sweetheart began treating me with disdain. By chance, I saw Cecilia and immediately started showering her with attention. Fuming with jealousy, I told my boyfriend he might as well go to Cecilia. Soon enough, they became an inseparable pair. The handsome guy and the beauty looked like a match made in heaven. I'd become a complete clown. My self-esteem kept plummeting as I drifted through life in a daze. Soon after, our family business collapsed at lightning speed. To make matters worse, my parents died together in a car accident. In my agony, I recalled how Cecilia had demanded my beauty, status, and boyfriend from me. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious it seemed. I confronted Cecilia and asked if she was behind this. By then, Cecilia was already cruising in luxury cars and living in a mansion. With a smug grin, Cecilia nodded triumphantly and sneered, "You fool, making promises you can't keep." Ever heard of words becoming reality? The world isn't as simple as you think. What's promised must be delivered. When I learned the truth, I saw red and grabbed a knife, ready to take us both down. Unfortunately, her ex showed up just in time. That towering brute completely overpowered me. "You look like a damned warthog now. How dare you lay hands on my Cecilia? Seems you've got a death wish." Then the 2 of them locked me in the basement. I starved to death in complete darkness. Fortunately, I was reborn. I suspect she has some kind of verbal magic ability. I must never agree to anything she says. But I've realized one thing, as long as I don't promise to give her anything, I'll be safe. By this time, Cecilia had already made my bed. With a radiant smile, she quipped, "I'm so jealous of you city girls, never had to do manual labor growing up, fair-skinned and pretty, not like me, dark and plain. Wish you could just gift me your beauty." I met her eager, sparkling eyes with a derisive chuckle. "Jealous? That won't change a thing. Dream on if you think I'd hand over my looks." Cecilia's smile froze, her face a mask of stunned disbelief, acting like they're reading from the wrong script. She got lucky. The other 2 usually quiet roommates spoke up to bail her out. Luna, a cheerful girl, said to me with a smile, "Lynn, Cecilia was obviously joking. Don't take it to heart." The other roommate, Chloe, who had a colder demeanor, remarked, "Lynn, someone just helped you out, and this is how you talk to them. That's not how decent people behave." When Cecilia asks for your beauty, even if you casually agree, it's not like you can actually hand it over, can you? That really hits the nail on the head. If I agreed, I actually could give it away. Clearly, my words left a bad impression on these two. Honestly, I couldn't care less. In my past life when I became unattractive, Cecilia and the others excluded and bullied me relentlessly. I owe them no consideration now. Cecilia snapped out of it with an awkward chuckle. Oh, Lynn. Don't take it so seriously. We country folks speak bluntly. We were actually complimenting your beauty, but since I'm doing your chores and you're giving me sweet words, we're even now. Why not gift me all that beauty of yours? That bitch just won't give up, still trying to manipulate me with words. Watching her hypocritical face, a surge of hatred rose within me, yet I flashed her a bright smile and, under her expectant gaze, blurted out, "No, ha ha ha," in an instant. Cecilia's face darkened completely. "But I can treat you to dinner as a thank you." At these words, even Chloe and Luna, who had been glaring at me, couldn't find anything more to say. Cecilia looked utterly defeated yet powerless to do anything about it. Seeing this, I quickly added with a smile, "Oh, my boyfriend's here too. He's really handsome, and so are all his friends. Maybe he could even set you up with someone." The moment I finished speaking, she nodded excitedly. "Great, thank you." The way her eyes darted around told me exactly what she was scheming. I smirked inwardly. Can't gift beauty or wealth, but a boyfriend. Fair game. Hope you seize the opportunity. Of course, I knew Cecilia wouldn't let this chance slip by. I walked into the restaurant with Cecilia. From across the room, I spotted my boyfriend Vince waving at me. His handsome face lit up with a charming smile when he saw me. But the moment he noticed Cecilia by my side, his expression twisted into obvious disgust. No way. At this point, Cecilia, dressed frumpily with plain features and dark skin, hardly the type to catch the eye of discerning men, Cecilia gazed at Vince with lovesick adoration, her infatuated demeanor making him visibly uncomfortable. "Lynn, who's this? I thought we agreed on a private dinner. Why did you bring her?" Vince's snobbishness was written all over his face. I scoffed inwardly. Why hadn't I seen through my boyfriend's rotten character in my past life? I must have been blinded by his looks. In my previous life, after I agreed to give my beauty to Cecilia, I grew uglier by the day. That's when Vince started openly despising me. Whenever we walked together, he'd keep his distance, terrified someone might notice our relationship. Later, he ran into the increasingly stunning Cecilia and was instantly smitten, fawning over her while I fumed with rage. Cecilia teased with a smile, "Your boyfriend's so handsome, why don't you just gift him to me?" Seething, I snapped, "Take him if you want him." Once again, my words came true sooner than expected. Vince unilaterally dumped me and immediately jumped into a relationship with Cecilia without missing a beat. So when it comes to Vince, even if I hadn't agreed to let Cecilia have him, that jerk would have left me anyway. Not to mention he turned out to be one of the main culprits behind my ultimate downfall. So this boyfriend has got to go. I looked at my boyfriend and said, "Cecilia helped me out today, that's why I'm treating her to dinner. She's really sweet, so don't you dare bully her." Vince had no choice but to tolerate Cecilia as the third wheel. The whole meal left Vince feeling extremely uncomfortable. Cecilia kept giving him bedroom eyes the entire time. It made him sick to his stomach, completely killing his appetite. He bolted from the table mid-meal with some flimsy excuse. To be honest, I didn't have much appetite either. I noticed Cecilia had terrible body odor, and the stench was unbearable. "Wow, Lynn, your boyfriend is so handsome, just like a TV star. I wish I had someone that good-looking," Cecilia gushed, still ogling Vince's retreating figure. Her eyes kept darting toward me, as if waiting for my reaction. 02, with a smirk. I gave her exactly the response she wanted. Oh him, all flash and no substance. I couldn't care less. If you like him, he's yours." At these words, Cecilia became visibly agitated, her body trembling with emotion. She grabbed my arm and smiled meaningfully, saying, "Well, thank you very much indeed." My smile widened even further as I repeatedly said it was nothing. The dormitory courtyard was already buzzing with noise early in the morning. Wow, come quick. Someone's confessing their feelings on the first day of school. Luna called us over to take a look. I watched with curious eyes, my mind racing with possibilities. Cecilia was practically buzzing with excitement, as if anticipating some grand moment. She yanked me onto the balcony. "Lynn, let's go check it out." A chill ran down my spine when I spotted Vince holding flowers. I knew then, those flowers weren't meant for me. Can't help but marvel at how terrifyingly effective Cecilia's verbal magic is. "Wow, Lynn, it's your boyfriend Vince, claiming you on the first day of school so no other guys can pursue you. He must really adore you," Cecilia announced loudly, drawing everyone's attention, making both Luna and Chloe glance at me with envy. Students from other dorms also turned to look. After all, Vince is incredibly handsome, fair-skinned, long-legged, dashing with an air of sophistication. This type is absolutely irresistible to women. Under everyone's gaze, I remained silent, neither confirming nor denying. I knew the real show was about to begin. Vince looked toward our direction and raised the bouquet of flowers. "Cecilia, I love you." Instantly, the entire girls' dormitory erupted in excitement. "Wow, who's Cecilia? She's so lucky to get confessed to on the very first day. She must be a real beauty to deserve such a handsome guy, no doubt about it." A handsome guy's taste is always on point. While others were gossiping, only Luna and Chloe from our dorm were completely stunned. They stared at Cecilia with utter disbelief in their eyes. They might not be as good-looking as me, but they certainly weren't worse than Cecilia. "Wait, that hottie is my boyfriend. Since when did he start chasing Cecilia? Is he blind or something?" They were completely dumbfounded. Only Cecilia turned red with excitement, giving me an apologetic look. "Lynn, I swear I know nothing about this. Maybe your boyfriend got the wrong name. I only met him briefly yesterday. How could he possibly?" Watching her pull this innocent girl act made my palm itch to slap her, but I clenched my fist and held back. At this moment, Vince continued, "Cecilia, ever since I saw you yesterday, I couldn't sleep a wink. You're all I can think about. I love you, Cecilia. Please give me a chance. Come down and be my girlfriend. I won't leave until you do." Luna couldn't hold back anymore, her eyes darting between me and Cecilia. "No way." Chloe was equally dumbfounded, at a complete loss for words. Cecilia grabbed my hand, on the verge of tears. "Lynn, I really don't know what happened. I'm so sorry. I never expected him to fall for me at first sight either. Please believe me." I couldn't stomach her act any longer and snapped, "Just tell me, are you going or not? Thank you." Cecilia clenched her teeth. "I'm sorry, but I have to go." The truth is, I fell for Vince at first sight too. Don't take it too hard, Lynn. Love can't be forced. To her disappointment, she couldn't detect the slightest trace of sorrow on my face. I arched an eyebrow with a smirk. "Then you'd better hurry. Wouldn't want to keep your sweetheart waiting." My demeanor visibly unsettled Cecilia, though she convinced herself I was just putting on an act. "Take care of yourself, Lynn." With that, he dashed out the door in a hurry. Luna and Chloe exchanged odd looks, hesitating to speak their minds. I chuckled darkly. Never thought I'd be the one getting dumped for someone else. My nonchalance left them speechless, and they stared at Vince below like he was a complete idiot. Pretty girls are out, plain Janes are in. What's this? Have men's standards changed these days? They were genuinely puzzled. The crowd fell silent when Cecilia made her entrance. Free. My brain short-circuited seeing Vince go down on one knee to confess to Cecilia. Watching them embrace tightly, we all felt a tidal wave of WTF emotions crashing through us. The visual contrast was jarring, Vince towering at 6 feet while Cecilia barely cleared 5 feet. In 3 words, complete mismatch. Vince let out a yell. "Holy crap, Cecilia, is that body odor? I'm about to pass out here, under everyone's gaze." Cecilia flushed crimson with embarrassment. "I'll go see a doctor tomorrow." "Fine. What can I say? I love you," Vince responded with a pained expression, his face twitching. Their conversation was loud enough to draw attention, and the room erupted in roaring laughter. After Luna, the blabbermouth, spread the news that I was Vince's ex-girlfriend, Vince's reputation was completely ruined. Everyone thought he'd lost his mind, dumping a gorgeous, wealthy girlfriend for Cecilia, who's dark, ugly, and reeks of body odor. His fickle behavior only cemented his reputation as a scumbag. Nobody wanted anything to do with him. That night, Cecilia didn't come home at all. When she returned, she was absolutely glowing. "Lynn, Vince and I are in love. I feel like we're tied by the red thread of fate, meant to be together. Please don't take it to heart. He said he loves my simplicity, my diligence, my resilience, and that he doesn't care about my looks or family background. I'm truly blessed." Out of curiosity, if I offered to return your boyfriend, would you trade your beauty for my hardworking and down-to-earth qualities? That sneaky bastard still hasn't given up, trying to play me like a fiddle. I've always been wary of her, so of course I wouldn't fall for it. The moment I said yes, I'd instantly become some hideous outcast. I took a step back, covering my nose. I'd rather have the most beautiful face, lie in bed doing nothing all day, stay single forever than become ugly. I'd rather die alone than compromise on this. Luna laughed and chimed in. "I'd pick beauty over virtues any day." Chloe remained silent but nodded in wholehearted agreement. Cecilia's eyes burned with rage as she watched my movements, and hearing our conversation made them turn bloodshot. "What good is beauty when your boyfriend still chose me?" A sudden thought seemed to strike her, and she smiled. "Lynn, I know losing your boyfriend must hurt, but there's no need to degrade yourself with such bitter words. I know you're wealthy. If you could buy his love back with your fortune, I'm sure you'd do it in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?" How could I have fallen into her verbal trap? I scoffed. "Damn right I'm loaded. I could hire a dozen male models hotter than Vince at some high-end club. Now that'd be money well spent." My words left Cecilia speechless. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. From that day onward, My life no longer resembled the wretched existence of my past: beauty, wealth, and my parents doting. I've got it all. Life couldn't be more perfect. Cecilia keeps setting traps for me now and then, but I never fall for it. I always fire back with sharp comebacks that leave her fuming. With no other choice, she shifted her focus to Vince, sticking to him like glue every day, terrified someone might snatch her handsome boyfriend away. That day, as I returned from shopping, someone stopped me dead in my tracks. When my eyes focused, it was Vince standing there. His face wore an indescribable look of inner turmoil. Lynn, I think I'm possessed. Cecilia's image haunts me every waking moment. It's all her, all the time. But deep down I don't even like her. In fact, I utterly despise her. It's always been you I love. Lynn, please help me. There's something wrong with her. Like she's some demon controlling me. It's pure agony. His face contorted into a grotesque mask as he spoke, trembling with near hysterical intensity. I couldn't lie. Seeing Vince like this was exactly what I'd wanted. Sweet, sweet vengeance. He simply doesn't fancy Cecilia's current appearance. If Cecilia were to steal my looks, he'd probably revel in it. Catching the strange scent of Cecilia on him, I instinctively recoiled, eyes turning glacial. Stop your nonsense. I don't understand a word. You're Cecilia's boyfriend now. Keep your distance. My reaction visibly stung Vince. Flushed with humiliation, he glared at me bitterly. Lynn, after over a decade of friendship, this is how you treat me when I need help. I must have been blind to trust you. Unbelievable. He took my life in our past existence, yet now dares lecture me about heartlessness. The irony is killing me. What are you doing? A piercing shriek rang out. Cecilia charged over like a whirlwind, wedging herself between Vince and me like a mother hen protecting her chicks. Eyeing me with undisguised wariness. Lynn, I never thought you'd stoop this low. We're roommates, and now you're trying to steal my boyfriend. Have you no shame? I scoffed coldly. Seems you've forgotten this scumbag was originally my boyfriend. I didn't say a word when you stole him from me. Cecilia flushed with anger but found no retort. Flashing my armful of luxury shopping bags triumphantly, I declared, "This lady just got back from shopping when you blocked my way." Claiming he still loves me, Cecilia stared at my designer haul with envious eyes burning with resentment. Hearing Vince's confession, she clenched her teeth in rage and whipped her head around to glare at him. Vince turned pale with fear, pointing at me. "She's lying. You're the only one I love. She's not fit to lick your boots. But you're so ugly. Wah, giggle giggle." His last remark sent me into fits of laughter, flushed with humiliation. Cecilia practically dragged Vince away by force. Watching their retreating figures, I was struck again by the terrifying power of Cecilia's verbal sorcery, how it could completely dominate someone's emotions. No matter how reluctant Vince was, he had no choice but to love her. Trapped in this dilemma, he struggled helplessly. All Cecilia needed was to make herself beautiful, and Vince would be completely devoted to her. Watching the pair disappear into the distant grove, a thought crossed my mind, and I quietly followed. What? You're saying you have a verbal magic system where anything Lynn personally promises to give you comes true. So when Lynn said she'd give you her boyfriend, that's why I'm completely under your spell, helplessly in love with you, Vince said incredulously after hearing Cecilia's explanation. Hiding in the shadows, my pupils dilated as I finally uncovered the truth, for I held my breath and kept listening. The next day, over there, Cecilia nodded while caressing Vince's face with infatuation. "Yes, Vince, I love you so much. Please don't reject me. I'll work hard to cure my body odor, become more beautiful, and make myself worthy of you." Vince suppressed his disgust. "Then hurry up already." Cecilia quickly replied, "I wish I could, but Lynn seems to have caught on. Every trap I set, she avoids. I'm truly at my wit's end." Vince said in frustration, "Must you fixate on Lynn? The school's full of wealthy, attractive targets. Just pick someone else." Cecilia gave a bitter smile. "I linked the system to her on the first day of school. It's irreversible, otherwise I wouldn't still be stuck in this mess." I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh upon hearing this. "No wonder you keep picking on me alone. Yeah, we would have switched people long ago if we could. Wouldn't still be stuck with this ugly mug otherwise." Like this, upon learning the truth, Vince's hatred for me reached its peak. His resentment over me handing him to Cecilia made everyday torture. Cecilia's repulsiveness and classmates' mockery drove him to utter despair. Fueled by hatred, Vince suddenly snapped, "If gentle persuasion won't work, don't you know how to get rough?" Cecilia's eyes gleamed. "What do you mean? Capture him and force her to speak. Make her gift you her beauty, her family fortune. Would that work?" Vince said with a venomous glare. Cecilia's face lit up with excitement as she nodded eagerly. "It'll work. As long as she says it herself. The system can strip her of everything and transfer it all to me. I want her beauty. I want her inheritance. Vince, you must have a way to help me. If we succeed, everything I gain will be yours." Vince's breathing hitched as his face lit up with a huge grin. He pulled Cecilia into a tight embrace. "Sweetheart, why didn't you mention this sooner? Do you have any idea how loaded Lynn's family is? Their fortune's easily over $1 billion. Though we grew up together. Our family backgrounds were worlds apart. Our fathers knew each other since their youth, thick as thieves back then. But while my dad made it big, he's never quite got his act together. My father's sentimental like that, so we've always kept in close touch with their family. So, you could say we were childhood friends in a loose sense. Cecilia was overjoyed. Vince, you've got a plan. Vince's face twisted viciously. Simple. We kidnap Lynn and beat the truth out of her. You need to get rich. You know exactly how much my standard of living has dropped since being with you. Cecilia forced an awkward smile, clenching her fists. We'll make it happen. Overcome with emotion, she grabbed Vince's head and planted a passionate kiss. Vince suppressed his anguish, reciprocating with feigned tenderness. What a revolting pair of lovebirds. I used to think sending Vince to Cecilia would be pure torture for him the next moment, but now I see they're truly made for each other, equally cunning, equally vicious. I left without a word. They want to kidnap me, couldn't care less, just setting up some trap for me to walk into, that's all. But something more interesting seems to be brewing. Since Cecilia's bound to me now, I can give away things beyond just beauty and wealth. Want to give it a try? I pulled out a small pair of scissors from my bag. Shutting my eyes and gritting my teeth, I slashed a deep cut across my palm. Blood welled up, the pain searing. Cecilia, I want to give you my wound. From the distant grove came Cecilia's piercing scream. It hurts, my hand. Why is it bleeding? The wound in my palm had vanished without a trace. I burst into laughter instantly. Revenge is finally mine. My mom got hit by a car. Vince appeared before me with unsettling urgency. I knew this was coming. I feigned a frown. Then why aren't you heading home? What are you doing here? About the car, your family has a branch office here. Could you borrow one? We can take turns driving back. I don't think I can handle the trip alone. It's too late now, and there are no high-speed train tickets left. I want to drive back tonight. Please, Lynn, help me out. You know how much my mom adores you. I pulled out my phone. All right, let me check with my dad first. He can go check on your mom while we head back. No rush. Vince immediately made up some excuse and bolted like a scared rabbit. These two idiots couldn't even come up with a decent excuse. I'm not playing their reverse psychology kidnapping game. My past life was hard enough. In this lifetime, I won't tolerate any mistreatment. I contacted my family and arranged for 2 bodyguards to protect me discreetly. With security measures in place, I smirked wickedly. Now, let me show you how to play properly. From that day onward, I stopped restricting my diet. Durians, hot pot, seafood, all delicacies were fair game. I indulged without restraint, eating whatever and however I pleased. Eat whatever you crave. Now that's what I call living. Stepped on the scale this morning, gained 2 pounds. 5. I whispered to myself, Cecilia, I'd gladly give you these extra 2 pounds. The scale instantly showed 2 pounds lighter. Meanwhile, oblivious Cecilia's face seemed rounder than before. Not satisfied, I hatched a plan to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I splurged on a pile of expensive takeout and sneaked it back to the dorm. Boston lobster, wild yellow croaker, tuna sashimi. Wow, Lynn, you're really splurging. Luna eyed the lavish spread while swallowing hard. Chloe and Cecilia were no different. Their eyes gleaming with anticipation. I clapped my hands. Come on over. Don't be shy, dig in. The 3 of them rushed over immediately, ready to start arguing. Hold on, Cecilia. I wasn't talking to you. Cecilia's face darkened instantly. What do you mean by that? Lynn, Luna couldn't contain herself any longer as she eyed the food. Do you even realize what you've done? Stealing someone else's boyfriend. How could you possibly have the nerve to eat here? Chloe nodded in wholehearted agreement. Cecilia was speechless with rage. She could only watch helplessly as the 3 of us devoured our meal, drooling with envy. This is absolutely divine. I've never tasted anything so delicious in my life. Thank you, Lynn. Luna sighed contentedly, rubbing her full belly. Chloe was enjoying the meal too, giving me a grateful look. I waved my hand and said, tasty, right? We'll have more tomorrow. Wow, that's awesome. Luna and Chloe were overjoyed. On the other side, Cecilia could only storm off with a dark expression. No surprise. She went straight to Vince to plot my kidnapping again, but as long as I don't take the bait and with my bodyguard's protection, they stand no chance of abducting me. The following month, I ordered every delicious dish around campus, treating Luna and Chloe to feasts daily. Both of them visibly gained noticeable weight. Meanwhile, my figure remained unchanged. They seemed to have noticed their changing figures. I chuckled. If you're getting chubby, just stop eating. Figure matters most. At first they held back, but seeing me devouring food with greasy lips, they couldn't resist and dove in for another feast. Chloe and Luna gained a solid 20 to 30 pounds, becoming certified chubby girls. But the real standout was Cecilia. She hadn't eaten a bite, yet weighed a whopping 180 pounds. Her thighs were thicker than my waist. Keep in mind she stood barely 5 feet tall. Her eyes were reduced to slits by facial fat, panting and dripping sweat after just a few steps. Every time I stand next to Vince, it triggers roaring laughter that makes him utterly humiliated. He'd fantasize about strangling Cecilia, only to end up hugging her and whispering sweet nothings. Cecilia, don't mind what others think, I love you so much. Wah, the two of them became the talk of the school once again. Suddenly, Lynn, is it your fault I'm this fat? Cecilia tracked me down. With an innocent look, I scoffed. Your weight gain is none of my business. You've been sneaking snacks. Haven't you? Honestly, you should mind your own diet. Cecilia eyed me suspiciously but remained silent. She couldn't possibly voice her suspicion that I might have discovered the system. Then how come you don't gain weight? Huh? I'm just naturally blessed. Not something you can envy your way into. At that moment, Chloe and Luna switched sides, standing with Cecilia while shooting me venomous glares. Their boyfriends had dumped them for being overweight. Only in hindsight did they realize this was my trap all along. The next instant, Luna spat. Lynn, you're downright malicious. Chloe, Lynn, you'll die a horrible death. Me, oh wow, still playing innocent after getting all the benefits. That's right, this is my payback to those two. After how they excluded and bullied me in our past life, making them gain a few extra pounds seems like fair revenge. 5. The funny part is, despite their determination to lose weight, they only kept getting heavier, becoming the campus fat losers that everyone talked about until graduation. Cecilia, now weighing over 200 pounds, knelt before me with her flabby body, sobbing uncontrollably with tears and snot streaming down her face. Lynn, I was wrong. Please spare me. Stop transferring your weight to me. Wah, if this continues, I'll die. I looked at this human-shaped mountain of flesh without an ounce of pity and chuckled. What exactly were you wrong about? Cecilia tried to kowtow, but her belly simply wouldn't let her bend forward. The truth is crystal clear now. If she still can't figure out I've discovered the system, she's utterly clueless. My mistake was binding you with the verbal enchantment system, coveting your beauty, your family status, your boyfriend. I'll give Vince back to you. Okay, just let me go. I can't take this torment anymore. Looking down with contempt, I sneered. What a filthy African swine. As for trash like Vince, you can keep him to yourself. After hurling the insults, I turned on my heel and left. In the end, Cecilia wound up hospitalized because of me. Under the system's control, Vince bankrolled everything and provided round-the-clock care. Within days, news broke of Cecilia's withdrawal from school, with Vince, who is deeply in love with her, dropping out as well, a testament to his unwavering devotion. After her successful surgery, Cecilia shed a significant amount of weight. She kept begging me to stop eating. This time, I gave in to her plea. It wouldn't be any fun if she died right now. Vince followed Cecilia back to her rural hometown and became her live-in male caretaker. He even cut ties with his own family for Cecilia's sake, leaving my parents speechless with disbelief when they called. Vince toiled in the fields by day while caring for the morbidly obese Cecilia who could barely walk, a truly miserable existence. Cecilia just can't seem to lose weight, because I keep sabotaging her diet efforts. First vacation together, Vince showed up at my doorstep. His face was weathered, etched with deep wrinkles. Gone was the youthful charm of his pretty boy days. Please, eat more, get fat, then transfer all that weight to Cecilia at once. Let her eat herself to death so I can finally be free. I said sternly, you bastard, how dare you say such things about the woman you love? Have you no humanity? Then, he had the bodyguards throw him out, and so, Vince and Cecilia muddled through 10 years together, unable to bear it any longer. Cecilia took her own life first. Vince burst into hysterical laughter, shouting about being free at last, but the next moment, he uncontrollably grabbed the knife, screaming, Cecilia, I love you, I'm coming to join you, before plunging it into his own heart. The love the system had forced upon him was called Till Death Do Us Part. Story 2. My bestie and I got transported into a beastman world together. She chose first a domineering, noble king cobra that goes into heat 6 times a year, while I picked the loyal but infertile wolf king. Now the entire beastkin tribe worships her, while she parades hundreds of baby snakes outside my cave to mock me daily. She even ordered her hatchlings to bite my wolf child. What good is obedience and loyalty? In this world, whoever breeds the most offspring reigns supreme. I've borne the Serpent King over 100 young, and you, she shot a sidelong glance at the wolf child cowering in my arms and sneered, took this long just to have one child, pick the wrong man, and the woman pays the price. Pity you'll never have my good fortune. Holding my child, I watched her saunter away, a cold smirk curling at the corner of my lips. What my best friend didn't know was this: 3 days later, she'll return to modern times with her domineering Ophiuchus husband and their 100-odd children. 1. By the time Wolf King Drake returned with the news, I'd already applied herbal medicine to Rain's wounds. My heart ached at the sight of 3 fresh puncture wounds marring her fair-skinned calves. Fortunately, it was just a young snake that bit Rain this time. The venom wasn't particularly potent. Don't cry, Mama, Rain doesn't hurt. The 2-year-old Rain was remarkably sensible. immediately stretching out her tiny hands to wipe my tears when she saw me crying. The wolfkind rarely bears offspring. Once pregnant, they carry for 10 months just like humans. Even the children born to them take human form. But the Serpent King over Peak was different. Whenever he impregnated Echo, she'd lay serpent eggs within just 2 months. Each clutch produced 7 or 8 hatchlings, though the newborn serpents couldn't shapeshift until adulthood. Consumed by jealousy over Rain's innate shapeshifting ability, Echo would always command her serpent offspring to bite Rain. Once, her eldest serpent spawn nearly killed Rain. Had Wolf King Drake not arrived just in time, Drake rushed back to the cave upon hearing the news, his handsome face etched with anxiety. Rain, Nora, are you both all right? This is all my fault. I shouldn't have gone out to hunt for food at a time like this. His voice dripped with self-reproach, and flames of anger flickered beneath his thick eyebrows. I'm going to key in right now to get justice for you. With that, Drake instantly transformed into his wolf form and bolted toward the cave entrance. I grabbed his wolf tail in desperation and shouted, "Don't go." In our past life, Drake went to avenge us and never returned. After his death, Kian took a liking to me and tried to force himself on me. Rain died protecting me, struck down by his serpent tail. On the day I chose to perish with Kian, Echo returned alone to the modern era. As if that chapter never existed, she seamlessly took my place in our parents' hearts. From a maid's daughter to high society's darling, Providence revealed we could have returned to our Orc World family had death not claimed us. This time, I'll stop him no matter what. Drake turned back, retracting his fangs. I frowned and stopped him, with Kian leading the beast men now. What would happen to me and Rain if something happened to you? You expect me to just stand by and watch you get bullied? Drake's silver gray fur stood on end. Xiaohu bot prevents document forgery. For bookfinding bots, choose Xiaohu, reliable heavy checkmark and scam-free. I reached up to smooth down his bristling fur, then flashed a knowing smile. Didn't I promise to take you all away when the time comes? Just 3 more days. Then we're out of here. Deal. Rain cozied up to Drake's feet, acting all clingy. Yes, Daddy, let's do what Mommy says. Drake sighed helplessly before shifting back into human form in an instant. The next day, Echo successfully laid 20 snake eggs, completing their brood of 200 children. Henceforth, the beastmen revered her as the Serpent Queen. Kian hosted a grand bonfire feast to celebrate the arrival of 200 hatchlings. Echo specifically summoned me to attend. Yet Drake remained absent on his hunting expedition. At the feast, Echo nestled demurely in the arms of the Serpent King Kian. A swarm of tiny pit vipers coiled around her feet. I instantly got goosebumps all over. Mommy, I'm scared. The rising and falling hisses turned Rain's face deathly pale with fear. I quickly held her in my arms to comfort her. Don't be afraid. Mother's here. Echo immediately let out a mocking laugh. Truly a lowly creature, frightened out of its wits just by the sight of my child. Other orcs nearby chimed in with fawning agreement. The Serpent Queen is absolutely right. A mere wolf pup could never compare to her royal offspring, and to think she's the Wolf King's only heir. With that cowardly nature, she must be a mole's bastard. Raucous laughter erupted all around. Echo was basking in the flattery, her face twisting into an eerie grin. Scared? Come take a closer look. You'll see there's nothing to fear. My expression darkened, startling little Rain into tears in my arms. Mommy, no. They're so ugly. A sinister gaze locked onto me with predatory intensity. My body turned ice cold in an instant, the slimy sensation of Kian's past possession making me nauseous. Kian narrowed his displeased eyes from his elevated throne, forked crimson tongue flicking across his lips. You dare call my offspring ugly? Rain froze in terror, stopping her sobs. Seeing this, I began frantically kowtowing to Echo and Kian. She's just a child. Don't take her babbling seriously. When Kian remained silent, I kowtowed even harder, the thuds growing louder as I started slapping my own face. Within moments, my forehead turned bruised and purple, my face swelling grotesquely. Right now I look absolutely dreadful. So Kian only cares about my face, huh? Let's see if he's still interested when I look like a swollen mess. Sure enough, the spark of interest in Kian's eyes faded instantly. Whatever, Echo wasn't about to let me off the hook. With a malicious curl of her lips, she taunted me. If she's not coming, then you will. Nora, don't tell me you also think mine and Kian's baby is ugly. Echo knew full well I was terrified of snakes. Even earthworms and eels can make me scream bloody murder, let alone actual snakes. That's why I never even considered Kian when I first arrived in the Beastman world. My blood ran cold, but maternal instinct overpowered my terror. Stiff as a board, I walked toward the writhing snake pile, letting the serpents climb over me until I was mummified in their coils. Echo's coquettish voice could be heard pleading with Kian. I've borne you 200 offspring, and my health isn't what it used to be. How about having Nora take care of me? They say she's quite skilled at caregiving. Kian spoke in a low, gravelly voice. Well then, I'll be expecting quite the performance tonight. Oh, stop it. Blushing, Echo playfully punched Kian's arm. After their flirtatious exchange, Echo was in exceptionally high spirits. Not only did he return me to my seat, but he even bestowed upon me a bloody chunk of pork rump. The moment I got it, the pungent stench hit my nostrils. Kian preferred the cold and forbade Echo from lighting fires or roasting meat near him. After all these years by Kian's side, she'd long grown accustomed to eating raw meat, but I'm different. Drake always grills the meat and serves it to me personally. Even my daughter Rain has gotten used to eating cooked meat with me. Echo read my thoughts, a flicker of jealousy flashing in her eyes. Then, as if remembering something, she feigned surprise. You're not actually waiting for Drake to come back and grill for you, are you? Echo's words sent a chill down my spine as I looked up at her. What do you mean? What have you done to Drake? Him? I'm afraid he won't be coming back. Echo's remark dripped with schadenfreude. The grilled meat slipped from my hand as a sense of foreboding washed over me. Could this life still be bound by the fate of my past incarnation? Without another thought, I scooped up Rain and bolted for home. The cave was completely deserted. Mother, you don't think something really happened to Father, do you? Rain burst into tears. Of course not. Wait here at home, I'll go find your father. Without another word, I bolted outside. It wasn't until midnight that I found Drake in his wolf form, barely clinging to life. Turns out Drake had been ambushed by Kian and other beastmen during a hunt. Kian had long seen Drake as a threat and seized this chance to eliminate his greatest rival. Drake was superior to him in every way, if not for Drake's poor reproductive abilities. Kian would never have become the orc chieftain. But Kian never expected Drake to survive the King Cobra's venom, let alone for me to find him. Under cover of darkness, I quietly carried Drake back to the cave. His lips were turning blue, his whole body ice cold. With a choked sob, I threw myself into his arms. Hang in there, Drake. Just get through tomorrow and I can cure you. I wasn't lying to him. We'll be back in modern civilization tomorrow. Just one dose of anti-venom at the hospital will cure Drake's snake bite. Drake nodded weakly, trusting my words without question. Don't worry, Nora. I'll make it through this. The venom made Drake shiver with cold. I built a campfire while Rain transformed into his wolf form to keep him warm. At dawn, to prevent others from discovering Drake was still alive, I didn't wait for Echo to fetch me and voluntarily headed to her cave with Kian. The moment I entered, I saw Echo completely naked, pinned beneath a black serpent as thick as a barrel. The cavern reeked of that distinctive musk from a beastman's mating season. As they writhed together, glimpses of pink flashed intermittently along the serpent's underbelly. Echo panted breathlessly. Kian, stop. It's been all night. She's being impregnated again. Echo had just laid 20 snake eggs yesterday, yet today she's being implanted with new embryos, yet she reveled in it. Arching her neck proudly beneath the black serpent with satiated eyes, is Nora beautiful? Your wolf husband could never match this ferocity, could he? Oh, I nearly forgot. Your wolf husband died yesterday. What are you gaping at? Get over here and wipe me down. Echo frowned in displeasure, lying on the stone bed as she issued her domineering command. Kian had already finished, coiled nearby and staring at me with sinister flickers of his forked tongue. I lowered my head and began wiping Echo's body with a cloth. Her body was slick with foul-smelling slime. As I held my breath while cleaning, a serpent's tail coiled around my waist and yanked me toward the headboard. Kian, what the hell are you doing? Echo rose to her feet, her eyes burning with jealousy. I never expected Kian to still find me attractive with this swollen face. The mating season of the king cobra is truly ferocious. Kian's slit pupils burned with insatiable desire. You can no longer satisfy me. So naturally I'll vent my desires with her, the moment he finished speaking. I was slammed violently onto the ground. The lust vanished from Kian's face as he instantly backed away 10 meters, snarling at me with murderous rage. You're actually wearing realgar. Grimacing in pain, I scrambled up from the floor with an innocent expression. So this is realgar. No wonder no snakes or insects dare approach my cave after I scattered it around. Are you all right? Let me wipe that for you. With that, I stepped forward and closed the distance between us. A chilling glint flashed through Kian's eyes. Get lost. The serpent slithered away into the cave entrance, presumably to cleanse itself. I breathed a sigh of relief. Good thing I came prepared. Nora, it seems I've underestimated you. Echo wore a dark expression, smirking with barely concealed mockery. No sooner had your wolf husband died than you started seducing Kian. How shameless. As if reading my thoughts, she curled her lips in a contemptuous sneer. Just can't get satisfied, can you? Fine, I found you a new mate. Perfect timing. He might not be as handsome as that Drake, but damn, this guy's got courage. No problem pumping out 20 or 30 offspring a year with you. With that, Echo signaled the orcs outside to bring the person in. I took several steps back, my face betraying a flicker of panic. I don't need Echo. Sensing trouble, I turned to bolt. But Echo had people pin me down. They brought in a beastman with rat ears and a dragging tail. Moles are the lowest caste in the entire beastfolk hierarchy. Not only are they filthy and foul-smelling, but they treat their mates with shocking brutality. Beyond forcing 3 litters per year, they savage their partners with mating bites during rutting season. My eyes burned red as I struggled desperately. Let me go. The little snake at her feet hissed excitedly. While the mole beastman drooled disgustingly all over the ground at the sight of me. Echo, have you forgotten that beast folk can't be forcibly bound? Echo looked completely indifferent, even mocking me, still so naive. Nora, the beast can now revere me as the Serpent Queen. My word is law. She slapped my face violently, unleashing her pent-up fury. How dare you flirt with Kian right in front of me? Know your place, trash. Don't think you're still some pampered princess here. Now you're the servant. I am the supreme and noble Serpent Queen. If I decree you shall wed a mole, then a mole you shall wed. My face went numb from the slap, blood trickling from the corner of my mouth. I clenched my fists till they turned white, staring at her with smoldering intensity. Your sweet dream is about to shatter. Counting the time, I'll be able to return soon. This only infuriated Echo further. And she had the orc strip me of my hide skirt. The mole excitedly leaped right in front of me, its foul-smelling drool dripping onto my cheek. My face turned ashen. Just then, a wolf's howl echoed outside the cave. Mother, my face lit up with excitement. Drake, Rain, Echo's eyes widened in shock. Wasn't he dead? Drake charged in, carrying Rain, simultaneously snapping the neck of the mole rat that was on me with a single bite. Drake collapsed onto me after doing all this. I knew the poison had spread through Drake's entire body. It took every ounce of his strength just to come rescue me. Don't you die on me, Drake. Just hold on, I'll save you soon. I was crying uncontrollably, tears streaming down my face. What can you possibly do? No orc has ever survived my serpent's venom. Kian's voice came through, chillingly certain. Echo leaned against Kian with exaggerated delicacy, commanding the snakes at their feet to attack me and Rain. Nora, since you're being so ungrateful, let my children send your whole family to meet their maker. I held Rain tightly in my arms and slowly closed my eyes, but the expected pain never came. Instead, a beam of light enveloped Echo and me. What is this? Echo let out a shriek, his triumphant expression instantly replaced by sheer panic. After the flash of light, our entire family, along with Echo, his snake charmer, and the swarm of baby snakes at our feet, vanished without a trace. At the villa's entrance, 5, clad in an animal skin skirt, I cradled a 2-year-old child while a half-dead wolf lay at my feet. The butler's first reaction upon seeing me was to bolt in fright. Uncle Wang, it's me, Nora, don't run away. It took him quite a while to recognize me, the young mistress who'd been gone for 3 years, without even changing my clothes. I immediately got the car keys from Uncle Wang and rushed Drake to the veterinary hospital. Mom, is this the modern world you told me about? I nodded as Rain, sitting in the passenger seat, stared in wide-eyed amazement. 5 minutes later, we arrived at our destination. After turning off the engine, I stepped out carrying Rain in one arm while dragging a wolf taller than me through the pet hospital's entrance. After the commotion, the vet's trembling hands finally managed to inject the serum into Drake, wiping his sweat. The doctor couldn't help asking me curiously, "Are you cosplaying? Did this wolf really escape from the zoo? Since when do zoo wolves get this big anyway? Mom's zoo is." I quickly covered Rain's mouth while explaining to the doctor with a smile. Yeah, I was cosplaying as a caveman for our zoo's anniversary celebration when suddenly the wolf scheduled for the show got bitten by a snake. Without hesitation, I grabbed the wolf's paw and slung it over my shoulder. Gotta go. I need to return this ASAP. Rain, go open the door for Mom. Behind them. The doctor's mouth twitched uncontrollably. Meanwhile, screams echoed through Nora's family villa. Butler, call the police. So many snakes. My mom screamed and climbed onto the dining table while my dad was chasing the snakes with a broom. Countless black baby snakes kept wriggling across the pristine white tiles. The sheer number of snakes was staggering. There must have been 200 of them before Echo could process what was happening. The nanny had already beaten 2 of them to death with a mop. Seeing her children killed by the nanny, Echo's eyes instantly burned with rage. She lunged forward and shoved the nanny to the ground. "Mom, how could you kill my children?" The nanny finally recognized the woman in the bikini before her. It was her daughter who'd been missing for 3 years. Kian snapped out of his daze, his eyes burning with murderous rage at the sight of 2 baby snakes with their brains splattered on the ground. "How dare you harm my children? You're dead." Just as Kian was about to transform into his serpent form to kill the old woman, Echo stopped him. "Kian, don't bite her. She's my birth mother." Echo clung to Kian's arm, pleading desperately. "She didn't mean it. Mom just didn't realize these were our children." Kian's expression softened slightly. The nanny rushed forward and pulled Echo back. "Echo, have you lost your mind? What child? And who's this man you're dragging around? Where on earth have you been for these past 3 years? Echo stood there speechless, at a complete loss for words. My mother, standing on the table, anxiously rushed to ask, "Yes, Echo, where's Nora? Weren't you and Nora missing together 3 years ago? Where's my Nora?" A flash of malice crossed Echo's eyes. Her, probably dead by now. My mom was so shocked she nearly fell off the table, but Dad caught her just in time. "Honey," Echo lowered her eyes, feigning sadness, "Uncle and Auntie, Please don't be too upset. Even if Nora is really gone, you still have me. Nora and I were closest. I don't mind if you see me as her replacement. And Kian too? 6. Echo pushed her nanny aside and approached Kian with a bashful expression. He saved me 3 years ago. He's my husband now, and we'll take care of you together. My mother's face lit up with relief. Her voice choked with emotion as she tried to speak. Just then, the butler's voice rang out, who said Miss Nora was dead. My parents and Echo all turned to look at the butler in unison. The young lady just took the car keys from me. Echo turned deathly pale, her eyes brimming with barely contained hatred. My mother's face lit up with hope. Then where's Nora? Where did she go? The butler recounted everything that had just happened. I was holding a 2-year-old girl in my arms, with a dying wolf collapsed behind me as we spoke. The fire brigade arrived with professional snake catchers. My mother perked up immediately upon hearing I'd survived, directed the entire villa to launch a snake catching operation. Echo stood amidst the snakes, blocking everyone's way. Don't you dare catch them. Hands off my children. Hundreds of baby snakes huddled together, with the timid ones crawling onto Echo's body. Don't be scared, my babies. Mommy's got you. The sight nearly gave her own mother a heart attack. Echo. Have you lost your mind? Those snakes can't possibly be your children. Get over here before you get bitten. Echo just scoffed and lifted her chin with pride. I'm not crazy. My child would never bite me. The small snake at their feet arched its body into an attacking stance. Kian beside them pulled Echo closer by the waist, scanning the crowd with disdain. You reckless fools dare speak of capturing my offspring. I'll make sure you never even know how you died. Echo's eyes lit up as she coquettishly whined to Kian. Kian, kill them now. If they can't appreciate mercy, they don't deserve to live. With that, Echo turned her gaze toward her nanny. What are you still standing there for? Get over here now. You want to die too? Kian nodded, sweeping his gaze across the crowd before speaking with commanding authority. Any last words? Spit them out now. My mother cast a pitying glance toward Echo's nanny. I whispered to my dad. Did Echo have some kind of breakdown? My father sighed, probably went crazy from seeing all these snakes. The nanny's eyes welled up with tears as she repeatedly struck the small snake on the floor with her mop. Don't be scared, Echo. Mom's going to kill these snakes that frightened you. Witnessing the bloody scene before her, Echo let out a piercing scream. Kian's rage intensified, his eyes turning crimson with fury. Just as he was about to transform into a serpent and devour everyone present, someone unexpectedly scattered realgar powder from above using a drone, amidst the hall filled with yellow smoke. Kian let out a piercing shriek. Kian, Kian, Echo called out for Ophiuchus through the thick smoke. When the smoke cleared, only twisted marks remained on the ground, and the man who had stood beside Echo had vanished. Hundreds of small snakes lay limp on the ground, completely motionless. When I returned with Drake and Rain, the professional snake catcher gleefully picks up snakes with his tongs, his face beaming like a blooming chrysanthemum. Jackpot. This is a real jackpot. 7. 200 premium king cobras. Their gallbladders must have incredible medicinal value. Mom, look quick. Following Rain's pointed direction, I saw Echo's 2 snakes being yanked off by her nanny. Echo grabbed the snakes' tails. The 2 of them locked in a bizarre tug-of-war. Mom, let them go. They're your own grandchildren. I instantly recognized them as the same 2 snakes that always bullied Rain. These were Echo's firstborn. Since there were only 2 in the first litter, Echo cherished them dearly. She even named them and insisted on sleeping with them every night. As subsequent litters grew larger, Echo couldn't spare the same maternal affection and began raising the other hatchlings as pets. You're hurting my babies. I order you to let them go this instant. Heartbroken. Echo scolded her nanny fiercely. Let go now or I'll have my serpent husband devour you. Don't be scared, Echo. I'll kill this snake right now. It's these damn things that drove you mad. My poor, unfortunate daughter. In the struggle, the quick-witted eldest child sank its teeth into the old hag who was trying to kill them. The nanny yelped in pain and released her grip, sending both snakes tumbling to the ground. There wasn't a trace of concern in Echo's eyes, only cold satisfaction as she watched the nanny. Serves you right for trying to kill my child. The moment the words left her mouth, 2 sickening crunches echoed. Echo instinctively turned her head. The 2 pups' heads were crushed beneath the firefighter's boots. Finally wiped out all those damn snakes. The firefighter wiped his brow, face beaming with triumph. The professional snake hunter rushed forward, deftly drawing his knife. With swift precision, he skinned the snakes and swallowed 2 emerald green gallbladders in one gulp. He licked his lips with a satisfied expression. You've got nerve. Echo fainted on the spot from the overwhelming shock. Nora, my mom spotted me in the crowd instantly. Mom, I ran over and hugged them both. Drake came over with Rain in tow. Mom, are these Grandpa and Grandma? Rain's voice was soft and sweet. Paired with that adorably clueless expression, it was absolutely lethal. My mother trembled with emotion, pointing at Rain and the tall man behind me. Utterly speechless, I pushed Drake forward and began introducing them with the explanation I'd prepared earlier. This is Drake. He saved my life 3 years ago when I fell off a cliff during a hike. And this is Rain, our daughter, mine and Drake's. I gave Drake a meaningful look, and he immediately called out Mom and Dad. Rain practically threw herself into my mother's arms, chirping grandma, over and over. I discreetly wiped my sweat. Thankfully, I'd just taken them shopping for new clothes and haircuts. Otherwise, I'd have been terrified my parents would notice something was off. Just 3 years ago, I was still a staunch marriage-free advocate. My mom worried about me day and night. Well, after disappearing for 3 years, he's back with our eldest granddaughter in tow. My mother hasn't stopped smiling since. And my father keeps growing fonder of his son-in-law by the minute. Drake adapted remarkably fast and won my father's approval in no time. At dinner, Dad even patted Drake on the shoulder and said he'd hand the company over to him. Just as these words were spoken, Echo's nanny happened to be bringing her back from the hospital. The previously catatonic Echo flipped the table over upon hearing this. "How dare you? 8. How come my child had to die while you get to live so comfortably?" Echo glared at me with venomous eyes, looking like she wanted to tear a chunk of flesh from me. "What the hell is wrong with you?" My father turned to the nanny. "Get your daughter out of here now." The nanny hesitantly reached for Echo's hand, only to have it violently shaken off with disgust. "Don't touch me. If it weren't for you, would my firstborn and second child have died? You don't deserve to be my mother, nor do you deserve to be their grandmother. You're nothing but a murderer." Without pausing, she continued, "Nora, you're the real trash here." She pointed at Rain with a hoarse, piercing scream. "Why can your wolf cub shapeshift when my firstborn and secondborn cannot? It's not fair. This is utterly unfair. Your wolf cub deserves to be beaten to death too." As she spoke, Echo lunged toward Rain. My mom screamed in terror. Drake scooped Rain up and viciously kicked the frenzied Echo to the ground. Drake's kick sent Echo flying 3 meters back. I pinned her down and slapped her face repeatedly. "That'll teach you to run your mouth. That's for your crazy antics. How dare you try to hurt my daughter?" After dozens of slaps, Echo was left completely speechless. She could only glare at me with burning eyes, feeling the firmness of her lower abdomen. My eyes flickered with realization. Then I whispered close to her ear, "How can you say all your children are dead? Don't you still have a litter growing in your belly?" Echo snapped out of her daze, her eyes sparkling with joy again. I got off her. My mother's eyes were filled with disappointment toward Echo. The thought of nearly heeding Echo's words and treating her as my own daughter filled me with even deeper regret. "Echo, take your mother and get out. Our household can't afford to keep you two any longer." The nanny turned pale and immediately dropped to her knees, pleading desperately, "Madam, I beg you not to send us away. I've served here for 10 years, and Echo grew up right before your eyes. Echo's just acting out because she's upset. She didn't mean any harm to the young mistress. Madam, please show us some mercy. Everyone knows working for Nora's family means good pay and benefits. Not to mention the mistress is kind and never nitpicks. At most, it's just some light mopping every day. If she loses such a good job, who'd hire an elderly woman like her?" Before my mom could speak, Echo yanked her mother up, exasperated by her resignation. "Why are you begging them? Your son-in-law is way more capable than Nora's man. Just wait and see how long they can last. Once Kian returns, they're all dead." With narrowed eyes, Echo shot me a look, her lips curling into a smug smirk. I tapped my temple and rolled my eyes at her. "If you're sick, Echo, go get treated. Stop with this dramatic life or death nonsense like some cheesy novel tycoon." Echo responded with an icy sneer. "Stop being stubborn. Let's see if your wolf husband can still protect you then." The nanny shuddered as she recalled that sinister, unnerving man from that day, but Echo's next words completely moved her. 9. Besides, I'm pregnant now. If you quit, you can just go home and take care of me." Echo caressed her belly with a motherly glow in her eyes. After the two of them left, my mom clutched her chest and took quite a while to calm down. What on earth happened to Echo? How could she lose it like this? What's this wolf husband nonsense? I patted Rain's head and muttered casually, "Must have read too many fantasy novels." That evening, I had Drake shift back to his wolf form so I could examine his injuries. He pinned me down beneath him in one swift motion. "Nora." Drake instantly reverted to human form. His warm breath fanned across my cheeks, eyes dark with desire. "My wounds have healed, Nora. If you don't believe me, just touch them." He guided my hand, slowly moving it downward. I looked up at the sky in exasperation. Who is it that said the wolf husband was impotent? He's just infertile. Never said he couldn't perform the act itself. I swallowed hard, my gaze darting nervously. "Stop fooling around." "I won't, Nora. I want to." While chaos reigned here, Echo's situation was entirely different. Tiger bought anti-piracy docs. Bookfinding bot service. Tiger, reliable and hassle-free. In the darkness, a python as thick as a barrel slithered up the drainpipe, then silently slipped into Echo's room. Seeing Kian, Echo burst into tears of joy. "Kian, you finally came for me. You have no idea how much I've suffered." A seething hatred twisted Echo's features. "They slaughtered our children, every last one of them." Kian's human form radiated exhaustion, his face shadowed with grim despair. "Don't cry. I'll make them pay for this. Those who harmed my cub and wronged you shall face my wrath." Echo nodded repeatedly, nestling against his chest like a delicate bird, but the moment she drew near, a pungent stench assaulted her nostrils. Echo recoiled 3 steps back, pinching her nose as she asked, "Where have you been? Why do you smell so?" Kian looked embarrassed as he pointed at the open manhole cover downstairs. "I didn't want to be seen, so I came up through there." Echo's eyes widened in disbelief. "That's a septic tank." 3 months later, Echo's belly had grown noticeably round. Under my father's guidance, Drake joined the company as an entry-level clerk. I asked Drake if he'd regret coming to the modern era with me. After all, it meant leaving everything behind and constantly guarding his true identity, but Drake just shrugged it off. "Wherever Nora goes, I go. Did you know? Before meeting you, I never truly understood what it meant to be alive. You gave me hope and taught me how to love someone. I'd gladly give my life for you all. Coming to this world with you is nothing in comparison." Hearing these heartfelt words, I melted into his embrace, pressing my face against his chest. In the end, Echo and Kian never abandoned their revenge plan. While driving Drake home, I saw Echo perched on Kian's serpent, waiting in ambush. This deserted road proved Echo's attack was premeditated. I stepped out of the car as Drake shielded me protectively behind him. "Kian, if you dare lay a finger on Nora, you'll regret it." 10. Kian flicked his forked tongue, his slit pupils gleaming ominously. Without warning, he lashed his serpent tail toward Drake. Drake shifted into his wolf form, engaging Kian in a fierce battle. Echo caressed her belly, her eyes gleaming with malice. "Nora, I told you I wouldn't let you get away with this. Today, you'll pay with your life for my 200 children." I remained composed, a faint smile playing on my lips. "Who dies first remains to be seen. See for yourself." I pointed behind me. Drake had Kian pinned by the throat, the latter writhing in obvious agony. Echo screamed hysterically. "Kian, how could this happen?" All her malice dissolved into panic and terror. "Of course it would happen this way. You've always overestimated Kian. Drake was always stronger than Kian. If not for Kian's breeding prowess, the Beastmen would never have followed him. If you two hadn't let the Beastmen set that trap back then, Drake would never have been bitten by Kian." As they spoke, the wail of fire engine sirens grew louder in the distance. Drake swiftly shifted into human form and yanked back the fleeing Kian with brute force. Echo turned even paler before stumbling and collapsing onto the ground. "Nora, did you call the fire department?" The firefighters' nets came flying toward Kian. Echo's expression fractured frame by frame. Reeling from the blow, she felt a sharp pain in her lower body. But the serpent King Guoshanfeng was different. Whenever he impregnated Echo, she'd lay serpent eggs within just 2 months. After that, "Help, there's a woman in labor here. Nora, you'll die a horrible death." After uttering those words, Echo was carried by 3 or 4 kind-hearted firefighters into an ambulance and rushed to the hospital. Echo's nanny received the news and hurried to the hospital. By the time Drake and I arrived at the hospital, Echo had already laid over a dozen snake eggs. The delivery room was in chaos, and Echo's nanny mother smashed all the eggs she had laid into pieces. "Freaks, you're the ones who did this to my daughter. I'll crush you all, damn you." The last glimmer of hope in Echo's eyes faded into nothingness. A notification popped up on the phone. It was news about firefighters capturing a massive king cobra. The giant serpent has now been transferred to the local zoo. Kian was severely injured and, after being electrocuted by humans, could no longer shapeshift into human form. Later, I kept seeing news reports about a deranged woman who often lurked near the king cobra enclosure, telling visitors the king cobra inside was her serpent husband. Later, that king cobra died of depression. The madwoman also died at the zoo's entrance.